Welcome to From Caving In to Crushing It, the podcast for those who find themselves immersed in adversity and choose to write their story instead of having others write it for them. I'm Drew Deraney, and I'm your host. Tawana, it's so good to see you.
Thank you so much, Drew. I'm very excited to be here. Been looking forward to this conversation for weeks.
This is going to be wonderful. So I always thank the person who introduced me to my guests. So this time I get to thank Mike Weiner of NRG. Mike, thanks so much for the introduction to Tawana Lowery. I really appreciate that. And audience, I always start with how when we're young, we're taught that life is linear. It's a straight path, and it's not a malicious teaching. Our family, our friends, society, they want it to be straight line for us because it'd be easier. And so it's always suggested to us that if we do A plus B plus C, D's going to happen. And for the most part for us, life is linear until it's not. Ultimately, an external circumstance will come in between one of those letters and derail our straight path in life to a more circuitous route. And with that, that means adversity has now reared its ugly head. And here's what happens. I always say there's three types of women out there. There's woman number one, who's got so many blind spots, she doesn't even notice the adversity. She just lives life the way people told her to live, and she doesn't change anything. I don't have woman number one on the show. Now, woman number two sees the adversity, yet she says, no, this adversity is a barrier. I'm the victim. Everybody else is to blame. Life is what it is. I can't change anything. And so she goes about her life on autopilot. She doesn't change anything. And you know what? On her deathbed, she's got a ton of regrets. I don't have woman number two on this show. Now, woman number three, I do have on this show. Woman number three has a heightened self awareness. She sees the adversity and she says, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. This adversity is not a barrier, it's an opportunity for me to do something different, take massive action, and become a stronger woman on the other side. And that is woman number three, and that is Tawana Lowery. I have Tawana on the show. So, Tawana, if you could, for the audience, reach back as far as you need to for that defining moment in life, that tap on the shoulder, the whisper in the ear, or the 2x4 upside the head that I needed. What is that defining moment that transformed you, that transformation from woman number one and two, or both, to the woman you are now, and how that transformation impacted you personally and professionally?
Yeah, I think it would be important for me to address woman number two because sometimes woman number two doesn't know she is woman number two, right?
True.
And I'm just being honest
Yeah, it's
because
true.
if you are surrounded by some form of dysfunction, disrespect, abuse, whatever that might be, it could be trauma, right?
Hmm.
And you're exposed to that and around that from an early age, you don't know that it's not normal.
That's true.
And so you may not be saying I'm a victim. What you may be saying is this is normal.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And
It's a
and
different way to
so
think
I
about it.
think, I have to, when I think about woman number two, that describes me. Uh,
Mm.
and so, but then you don't really you don't really see yourself as a victim, but you don't really see yourself as a higher form of which you are called to be
Right.
either.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, you're just kind of in this world, kind
Yeah.
of like the Matrix, right?
Right. Right.
Until you're
Right.
presented with the other pill. And
Sure.
so I'd like to say I was presented with the other pill.
I love that.
And it was several years ago, and it was through a series of events that, I wouldn't wish on anybody, but my mother died suddenly
Oh, I'm sorry.
of a brain hemorrhage.
Mhm.
And this woman was not the best mother in the world. It just is what it is. And yet my heart was broken that, my mother passed away.
Mhm.
But 6 months later, my marriage of 25 years suffered I'll say it this way, a fatal wound
Oh boy. Okay.
that just carpet bombed trust and things like that. And it pretty much killed the marriage. You might as
Right.
well say it killed the marriage.
Hmm.
And so then a few months later, my father died of a heart attack.
Jeez.
And so, I just had this trifecta
Yes.
of just loss, loss, loss.
Hmm.
And I personally reached a point that although I was a faith woman, Bible reading woman,
Mhm.
church going, and all those kinds of things. I guess for the first time ever, I started saying to myself, I'm a victim.
Yeah.
I felt myself caving, like it was almost like I could hear Darth Vader going, "Come to the dark side. Your life's never going to get
Mhm.
any better than
Yep.
this."
Yep.
And honestly, I was tempted to say, "Yeah, that your side looks pretty good compared to my side."
Right.
Um, but thankfully, because I'm a woman of faith, God Almighty really spoke to me,
Hmm.
and He got my attention because all I could see, Drew, was everything that I had gone through. And I guess for the first time ever, it just hit me in the face
Hmm.
that I was raised in a, kind of a domestic abuse situation. Thankfully, it wasn't sexual abuse.
Right.
That my mother had an addiction problem,
Hmm.
just a lot of craziness and manipulation and disrespect. That's the things I said that you start to think are normal.
Right.
I suffered some difficult situations in my teen years. And then I got married early, got divorced, became a single mom, lived below the poverty level,
Yeah.
then remarried. That marriage was stressful, was very difficult. Went through two bankruptcies, lost two homes, and then all of this happened. And all I could think of probably for the first time ever is I just looked at my life and I saw myself a victim.
Yeah.
And I think God Almighty knew I was going there,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And he just kind
Absolutely.
of like pulled me by the collar
Mhm.
and he said, Tawana, you don't see all this the way I see it because what I started saying was, look at all I've overcome. Look at all I've overcome. And all I could see was just this,
Yeah.
35, 40 years of life that was just not doing nothing but beating me up.
Right.
And I think to your point, for the first time ever, I was going to go see myself as a lifetime victim,
Hmm.
which was not going to produce any good fruit,
Right.
right? I had just kind of up to that point just gutsed it up and kept going forward and gutsed it up and kept going forward because I didn't know any other way.
Right. Exactly.
And so God just said, Tawana, you're not seeing any of this the way I see it. And He said, yeah, you overcame all of it
Right.
because I put something in you from birth that would
Hmm.
give you the ability to overcome it.
There we go.
And I went, oh my God. And I couldn't deny it. Like I
Right.
was still standing, right?
Sure.
I don't know for those who read the Bible, whatever, but it was kind of like, Daniel goes into the lion's den. He gets
Hmm.
out of the lion's den. He marches over to his friends and he starts screaming about how he'd been thrown in the lion's den.
Yeah.
And his friends are like, dude, your head's still on you. Like, be thankful.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so I think that's what God was trying to say to me.
Right.
You did, in fact, overcome it. But then this was the pivotal moment. You ask about the pivotal moment. I
Yes.
liken it into like a burning bush kind of
Right.
experience. And he said, Tawana, you're looking at all these things you've gone through as a list of liabilities.
Mm.
And he said, it's not a list of liabilities.
Okay.
And this was like that pivotal moment that
Sure.
just like got my attention. He said, Tawana, that is your resume.
Ah.
And I went,
I
what? Like
love
it
that.
so blew my mind.
Yeah.
And, and I could see it. It was like, oh my God, that is my resume. It's qualified me
Right.
to speak into the lives of so many people
Hmm.
and teach them a better way and help
Wow.
them overcome. And then he says this to me, he goes, what are you going to do with it?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so from there it was kind of like a challenge, like a mic drop
Yep.
challenge,
There
right?
you go. Right.
And so I just started realizing I've got something strong here to offer,
Hmm.
and I'm going to start taking steps
Right.
right then to, I guess, rocket myself
Good.
into an overcomer lifestyle that
Wow.
I'm called to live
Okay.
and see all of this as working for
For
me.
you.
It didn't happen to me, it happened for
For you.
me.
Right.
And
Exactly.
honestly, Drew, people tell me, what would you change? And I say, I wouldn't change anything.
Nothing. No.
I wouldn't change anything because it's given me what I have now. It's made me the person I am now.
Hmm.
And so it's actually culminated into everything I'm able to do for others and offer.
That is wonderful. Wow. There is so much there. And I'm not going to say I'm sorry you went through all of that because I am. In a way, though, it made you a stronger woman. So when you were ready to rocket forward, what do you recall what that first step was, that first physical thing you did to rocket forward?
Well, the first thing I did was I got up off the floor
Yeah.
because at that point, I mean, I was face down on the floor, just bawling
Yeah.
my eyes out. And so, progress is progress. That's what I like to say.
Yeah.
And if it's get up off the floor, if it's take a shower, if it's just, get up the next
Very
day and go
cool.
do the next thing, you gotta give yourself credit for the small steps, right? That's big.
100%.
But in a more tangible way, I thought, I can't be the only person who's been suffering difficulties and
Right.
unplanned tragedies or maybe
Right.
normalities that they haven't been, had the courage to step out of.
Right.
And so I started a blog and I just started
Wow.
writing about
Good
how to
for you.
overcome, all these different things. And the next thing I knew, Drew, I had people in 90 countries reading my blog. I mean, I
Wow.
was a nobody
Uh-huh.
sitting in my office in, North Atlanta. And I thought, man, I think I'm onto something.
Wow.
And so then I, got certified as a life coach and I started just showing up and volunteering
Right.
and coaching and teaching. Then I wrote a book. So it was just like I just started taking steps to reach
Sure.
other people and, give, I guess,
Right.
pay it forward.
Sure.
Because I had had such a revelation and I just wanted other people to have that revelation as well. And so those were
Absolutely.
the first tangible
I
steps
love,
I
wow.
took.
Unbelievable. So what kind of volunteer work did you decide to do?
Yeah, so I just started showing up at these different places for, like women's rehabilitation
Okay.
centers, prisons, small Bible studies and things like that, and just started doing speaking
Okay.
and then
Good.
teaching
Okay.
and so on and so forth.
Wow.
I eventually started a women's empowerment coaching program,
Wonderful.
and then I started a nonprofit, and so on and so forth. So just taking steps of
Sure.
realizing that I had been given a huge revelation and I had a Rolodex, literally, of difficulties I had
Hmm.
overcome.
Right.
And so while it may not be chapter and verse to other people, I felt like God told me that's your resume. Like this is going to give you street
Absolutely.
cred to
Absolutely.
speak into lives of other people.
Right.
And, even now when I share more, in depth of my journey, people say, well, you don't look like what you've been through. And I'm like, yeah, well, thank God for that. Like, what do you want me to look
Yeah, yeah, I know,
like?
really.
I
Absolutely.
mean, that's
Oh my
kind of part of the
goodness.
message, right? We
Right.
don't have to look like
No,
or
you don't have
act
to look
like
like what you
what
went
we've
through.
been
Oh, that's a
through.
good point. So what was is the nonprofit still active?
I'm sorry, say.
Is your nonprofit still active?
No, I just have just recently closed that down. I've
Okay.
made a huge pivot into something else,
Okay.
that I think is going to be even more impactful later on. I can't really divulge it right now, but
Okay. Good. Okay. It's okay.
honestly, I realized
Yeah.
that the reason so much had come against me was because I had such a huge destiny.
Okay. I get that.
I mean,
I
the
get that.
forces
Yeah.
of darkness, however you want to describe it, they don't really mess with people who don't have a big destiny.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a yeah, because we're being
And if
tested.
you have
Yeah.
a lot of headwinds, that's
Hmm.
because you've got a big sail and you're
Yeah.
about to go make a big difference.
Wow, that's a really
Uh,
great way to look at it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. And if
All right.
here's the thing, if you're not feeling resistance, then you're not doing anything.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. If you're standing still, yeah, yeah, you don't feel that resistance. I love that. So you can't divulge what you have going to happen. So what are you working on now? What are you actually doing now that you can divulge,
Yeah,
professionally?
so I am a story sharing expert coach and a brand strategist.
Okay.
And what I do is I help small business owners, solopreneurs, and coaches. I help them basically get noticed, gain clients, and grow their business by taking their story and turning it into a brand message
Hmm.
that connects with their ideal client.
Okay.
Drew, your video just went blank.
Did it?
Yep.
How about
I know
now?
you're going to edit this, so you just
Yeah.
went dark on the
Actually, you know what's
video.
funny? I don't edit it, and why it went dark, I don't know, because I can still see myself. But Oh, interesting. We'll keep going. It'll come back.
Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah. So when I was doing women's empowerment coaching,
Hmm.
I built my coaching business based on my story. And I created a framework around how to do that, and it became very successful. And so then I kind of made a pivot and I thought, I really feel like I can help female small business owners a lot more if
Right.
I can teach them how to grow their business through the power of their story the way I did. And so I made that pivot a while back,
Right.
and turns out my hunch was correct. And so that's what I'm doing now.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. The biggest success story you have for your clients, would you have something in mind that was one of your biggest success stories?
Well, I have several, but I would say in general, because I work with people around the world, 6 different countries I work with
Right.
across all different industry
Mhm.
spectrums. So I think, in general, what I help people realize is that the very story that they're hiding from is the
Right.
thing that's going to help their business grow.
Okay.
So I think specifically of a lady that I help. She's in the financial investment space in Canada,
Hmm.
and she was having some difficulties with keeping her funnel full and attracting her right clients.
Right.
And then when she and I started working together, we discovered a story she had in fact been hiding about money trauma.
Oh, wow.
And as soon as she, because I helped them put it together in a professional way, and as soon as she started sharing that, her business blew up,
That's
and
great.
she went from basically having almost no clients, and she was in a panic, to
Hmm.
being top 10 in her business
Wow.
in a matter of 8 weeks. And it was that story she was afraid to tell and she had been hiding, but it was the thing that
Right.
resonated most with her niche market.
Right.
And it gave people permission to feel safe to talk with her
Right.
because of the connection that it made. So that's one great
I love that
example. And then I mean, I
story.
just have so
I'm
many.
sure I'm sure you do because the art of storytelling is so powerful. It elicits emotion and it does break down walls, break down barriers, and does help to form trust. And the fact you're giving permission to people to tell their story, you're also giving people permission to feel the effects of that story. And I admire you for that. Absolutely.
Well,
What are,
here's what I like to tell people, Drew, is
sure.
that some folks think that it's woo-woo, like it's, hocus pocus. But really there's a lot of market research that supports why story sharing, or story branding, some people call it, is the most effective way to reach your ideal client. For instance, we know
Right.
from the research that 68% of consumers say that the story associated with the person and or the brand
Yeah,
influence their purchasing decision.
absolutely.
And we also know from the brain science of it
Right.
that our brains are 22 times more likely to remember a story rather than all the features and the stats and the facts. You can go to Steve Jobs, and he proved that
Right.
beautifully.
Right.
And the reason is because our brains just love stories. We're
Yeah.
created that way.
Hmm.
It activates all parts of the brain.
It does. It does. We lean in when we hear a story, and that gives that shit. Absolutely. Anything
Well,
that
we kind
we,
of started
yeah.
out this podcast with a story.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We actually, absolutely did. Anything else that we may have missed that you want to tell the audience about what you're doing?
Well, I would just like to say that, if you are that small business owner,
Hmm.
coach, solopreneur, and you know you have a story, but you don't really know how to share it, you're kind of
Hmm.
worried about, how do I put it together? Does anybody really care about it? I would say yes, they absolutely do care about it. Now, there's a
Hmm.
professional way that you do it. You
Right.
have to make sure that it's focused on your ideal client. I help my clients do that. But
Mhm.
also, there's people out there who just think that they don't even think that their industry it would be a good fit for story. And I just simply tell them there really isn't such a thing. Your ideal clients really do want it. It's the thing that's going to elevate you above the competition
Mhm.
and make you the one that's memorable. It builds that heart connection,
Right.
right? So I always say this, relatability is credibility.
Yes.
And if someone is looking for, say, a coach or someone to do business with in their lane,
Right.
and they know the backstory of the why that you're doing your
Yeah.
business,
Yep.
you're going to really elevate yourself above all the other choices they may possibly have.
That's very true. Absolutely true. Well, you know, the audience, Tawana, has certainly captured the essence of you, Tawana Lowery. They're going to want to get in touch with you. So, folks, Tawana said that her website, message for the number four millions.com, has a lot of information that you can get on her calendar. Also, find her on LinkedIn. So that's the best way to reach out. Now, you mentioned, Tawana, that you have a workshop coming up. I know we're going to probably not air by December 9th, but if you're doing a monthly, can you explain to people what the workshop's about?
Yes, so it's an hour long, and what I do is I take them through the market research, the brain science. I show them why story sharing really is their wealth attraction superpower
Hmm.
and how the top brands are using it to grow their business. We break it down. I help them understand different components about what powerful story sharing looks like. And then I always share the three top mistakes I see small business owners make, and I show them how to correct it. So it's just packed full of great information that they can take action on right away. And I do it every month.
Wonderful, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So, before we wrap up, I want to ask you two final questions. Did my picture come back, by the way, or is it still?
It did.
It's
Yep.
back. Good, good. For some reason, that does that every now and then, the glitch. Technology. Anyway, I want to ask you these two questions. So, the first one, you're in your happy place and you're sitting down with 7 to 10-year-old Tawana Lowery and you want to give her advice about life. What are you going to tell her?
Well, I would say that, if I were to give her advice, I would just tell her, believe in yourself.
Mm.
Really believe in yourself. Uh, make more effort to hear what God says about you, not what everybody else around you says about you.
Right.
And yeah, I would say just believe in yourself that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you have a great future.
I love that. All right, so let's switch gears. Now you're sitting down with young businesswoman, young entrepreneur Tawana Lowery, and you want to give her advice about business. What are you going to tell her?
Probably about the same thing, to be honest
Mhm.
with you. It wouldn't
Yeah.
be that different.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add is just make sure you're surrounding yourself
Yeah.
with people who have already gotten to a place that you're at, that you want to get
Right.
to.
Right.
Just make sure that you have supportive relationships. And here's the other thing: don't be afraid to cut things loose and cut certain people loose, because
Mhm.
you got to do it. Now, you can
Yeah.
do it with care and you can do it with kindness, but you've got to decide, what are you going to value?
Hmm.
The things that are the things, the people, the situations that are keeping you stuck and small,
Right.
or are you going to value your calling, your purpose, and your future?
Very what wonderful, wonderful advice. Love it. Well, Tawana, I want to thank you for being on the show, for coming into my life, for being the human being, the wonderful human being you are. You're doing some wonderful things to help people challenge themselves in telling their stories, and you're helping them succeed and show and shine a bright light on who their destiny, who they can become. And I want to thank you for all of that.
Well, thank you. The pleasure has been mine all the way.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. Everybody out there, please take care of yourselves. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and give us a review to help others find it. I'd like you to answer this question. Are you living the life you want to live, or are you living the life others want you to live? I'd like you to think about that for a second, because I strongly suggest you live the life you want to live. If you want to learn more about what I stand for and my services and how I'm able to help many men get out of their own way, please go to my website at www.profitcompassion.com. Feel free to also email me at drew@profitcompassion.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Take care of yourself and choose to write your own story instead of letting others write it for you.